Now at Target 12 Investigators exclusive, Policing the Police. More than a decade of data on complaints filed against Providence officers was just recently made public.
And tonight we're taking you inside the numbers, uncovering what sort of complaints were filed and how many officers were punished.
Target 12 investigator Walt Buteau with the details you saw first on WDPRI.com.
Half the complaints filed over the past 12 years ended up progressing to actual hearings. Documented discipline has increased significantly in recent years, but overall, a small percentage of the total cases involve discipline. We went looking for details behind the numbers. When Target 12 broke this story involving a caught-on-video confrontation past closing time at a local bar, we were told the officer involved was reprimanded and retrained. Chief Hugh Clements says while police are allowed to use force, retraining could involve learning how to use words first.
Verbal de-escalation to talk someone down, slow a situation down.
The documents we obtained took us back to 2003 and included everything from excessive force claims to complaints that an officer swore. The names were redacted due to privacy laws, but many of the cases made headlines.
We don't have a system in place.
Kobe Dennis's 2015 complaint about the treatment of his son involved Dennis claiming an officer told his son he would break his jaw. Dennis withdrew his complaint, but one officer received a written reprimand and a one-day suspension that was suspended for 90 days. The documents also detailed a case involving the late Buddy Cianci and an officer who admitted he picked up mail ballots for Cianci on a day he had called out sick. That officer was suspended for 5 days, according to the document. We found 679 complaints filed over the past 12 years, an average of 57 per year. Overall records show hearings and discipline happened just over 10% of the time. But Chief Clements says the numbers do not tell the entire story.
As an example, there are 3 recent cases where a complaint was filed and 3 officers in the last year and a half were forced to resign.
He tells us those cases would end up in a different column from the ones that went to hearings. And he emphasizes the department is trained and eager to investigate every single complaint.
No one is harder on the Providence Police Department than the Providence Police Department.
Dennis does not question the accuracy of the stats, but believes complaints are underreported.
Why would you want to complain to the person that to the accuser? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
Chief Clements tells us he would like to be allowed to use arbitration more to bring the complainant and the officers together with a mediator. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News.
New details now in a Target 12 investigation, Policing the Police. At 5, we dug through more than a decade of newly released data on complaints against Providence officers.
And we learned documented cases of discipline are up sharply in recent years, and about 1 in 10 complaints leads to punishment against an officer.
New at 6, how body cameras and other video sources are impacting complaints. Target 12 investigator Walt Buteau with the details.
Confrontations caught on cell phones have been with us for quite a while, and Providence police have been equipped with body cameras for nearly a year now.
Shots fired! They're still shooting.
In November, right after some of the cameras went online, the technology got perhaps its biggest test, capturing the use of deadly force in the Route 95 highway case. There are no complaints about that shooting in the documents we reviewed, but several of the cases in the 12 years of data made headlines. The complaints include everything from claims of excessive force to sleeping on the job. Chief Hugh Clements tells us there's been a sharp rise in complaints involving the attitude of officers, including veterans somewhat embarrassed by caught-on-camera profanity.
Highly charged situations, whether it's a large melee at a nightclub or a shoot, don't shoot situation. He may swear, and you know what? Hey, look, it's unprofessional, but in the heat of the moment, it's certainly understandable to me.
In Clements' opinion, body cameras and other video have impacted how the officers and the potential complainants behave. One example involves police trying to control crowds after the city's nightclubs close. He tells us many of the withdrawn cases involve civilians who dropped their complaints after seeing how they acted.
Alcohol's involved, and when they see or hear that the event has been captured and is live and in color, it changes.
The process Providence uses dates back to a 1973 consent decree, but there have been attempts over the years to change the system, according to Colonel Clements, who tells us he would like to use arbitration to bring the two sides of the complaints together. With the Target 12 investigators, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News.